Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today is an exciting cybersecurity versus software engineering video. And today's topic is going to be specifically on the question of, do we like our jobs? Like actually like our jobs. And we're going to talk about our full-time experience as well as our internship experience for those of you who are just getting started.
Hey guys, I'm Luca and I'm currently a software engineer at a FANG company, and you can think of me as someone who's doing full stack engineer right now.
And by the way, Luca also has a YouTube channel, and if you want to check that out, it is linked down in the description below. And for those of you who may be new to my channel, hi, my name is Sandra, and I'm currently working as a cybersecurity analyst, and we are both in our early careers. Maybe first things first, we can get started.
Early? Are we early? Mid? Senior?
Okay, let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Is 3.5 years early career or mid careers? What do you think? Because I think early career, but I feel like after you hit 4 or 5, maybe I could consider that mid.
A lot of people, companies, they can reach a senior within like 5-6 years.
Oh, by title you mean?
Yeah, by title. And at that point, you no longer really consider early career. And some people even get to senior within like 3 or 4 years if they're in like really high performing product areas.
That is fair. Definitely something to keep in mind for those of you who may be going into tech and curious about those titles. Maybe that's something we can discuss in this video too. Let's start with answering the question first of, do we like our jobs, and then we can go into more details of what that entails.
So yeah, I say I really enjoy my day-to-day, and I really enjoy my current team, and the project we work on, it's something that I find more intriguing and interesting. So that motivates me and encourages me to, you know, learn more, and then it makes my experience a lot better. Also, my teammates are very great people. Like, it's really fun to work with them, and I have a very supportive manager. So I think the stars kind of aligned, and then makes me like my job a lot more.
Yeah, I think speaking from experience from my current team, I think this is probably the best team I've ever been on, just in terms of work and the people that I work with. I do think I'm learning a lot and growing a lot. For me personally, like 70% of my experience at work is from my teammates and from my manager relationships, because it just makes it easier to do the job when you're able to work with people that are easy to work with. So I think overall I like my current job the most out of any that I've had. And even though I've only had one job in the past, I was in a rotation program, so I already came from like 3 different teams in those 2.5 years that I worked out of college.
So I would say a lot of times when you first start on your job, like, it's really hard to tell immediately like if you like something or not. Sure, like, you can be very passionate about the vision, and especially at these bigger tech companies, when you join as a entry level, you may not necessarily know exactly which team you will be placed onto. So that makes team selection or team matching process more so about like, oh, I just want to accept the first thing that sounds reasonable, and you may not necessarily care as much. But once you start working a bunch, then you kind of realize, oh, well, I thought I liked this, but maybe this isn't really what I'm really interested about. And a lot of times it's also really hard to tell what the team dynamic, who are your co-workers, what's the manager it's actually like, and what type of project you will get. Let's say, for example, you join some sort of like really popular hot like field, but there are still teams in that field that all they do is maintaining stuff or building internal tools. And sure, like, you're in this field, but what you're doing isn't really associated with the field. Just because you are under this product area doesn't necessarily implies you will be working on this. So that's just something you want to be aware. And I know a lot of people who join a team thinking like, oh, they're gonna do A, B, C, but then they end up doing, you know, option D or like option E. Like, yeah, so that's not something you really get to control a lot of times. So you really want to be aware.
Yeah, I agree. I think when I was first getting started, and in my current role, or in my first role specifically, I had no idea what to expect going into a cybersecurity role, since my background wasn't in cybersecurity. So I thought I was going to be doing like the hackers stuff that you see on TV, you know, which now I know is like primarily like ethical hacking and red team, but I did not do that. I was doing a lot more like project management focused work outside of like just the development that I was doing, but I was only able to do the development because my manager worked out something with a different team. My primary work was the project development slides / telemetry and metrics. Yeah, we basically produce metrics on a weekly basis and provide this to like the senior leadership team. So it's definitely very impactful work, I guess, in terms of just sharing these stats, but well, I guess one could argue for or against it, but personally I didn't really enjoy working on, you know, the collection of the metrics, Excel spreadsheets. I was never very good at that. So if I'm talking about that specific role, I don't think that it wasn't necessarily a bad job. I do think that it wasn't the best fit for me though.
Sure.
So I think that's the main point that Luca was pointing out, that when you go into a specific team or a specific role, you think you're going to be doing one thing, but when you end up doing something else and it, you know, and your expectations were here and what you're doing is here, it can sometimes be a little bit
discouraging.
Yeah, discouraging, and especially when you had, you know, different circumstances coming into a team. But yeah, I think it all depends on the team that you're in and the manager and what your interests are.
Yeah.
And I think in situations like those, if you find yourself in a team that you don't really like, it really is just about making that effort to tell your manager what you want to do. And if there isn't anything available on that current team, a specific project, even like a stretch project that you can do on top of your work to at least be able to do something that you're interested in and have something to show for it at the end of the day. If you're not able to do that, then I would say, I mean, you're working in a job in tech, so you can switch jobs, you can switch teams. There's a lot of demand for those skill sets that you have out there. So I wouldn't necessarily be afraid of that, even if you don't like the first thing that you get into, which, you know, isn't as uncommon as you think. And I didn't mention it earlier, but I previously worked at a financial institution, and I'm currently working at a small software company. So for anyone who's kind of curious about our different backgrounds or like the companies that we actually worked at.
Yeah, so I guess like a lot of times you hear like these FAANG companies and you're just like, oh, I want to work for them and I will be so happy if I work for them. And that's kind of like the boat I was in. And however, once you do join this company, you realize, wow, it's actually like a very corporate, like a lot of these companies being around for a very, very long time. A lot of products are very, very developed. So a lot of times there actually aren't a lot of new improvements that you will be working on. For example, if you're working on like Google Search or Google Ads, it's such a mature and old product that it's been around for so long, so many iterations, and you won't be just join the team and be like, oh, I'm gonna optimize searching. Like, you know, I'm gonna come in and improve the efficiency by like 50%. Or you're gonna come up with a new way that ads can be targeted. Like all these things are like, you know, the things that you might think you will be doing, but when you do join, like it may not necessarily be like the example I provided. So that's just something to be aware of. Maybe working at a bigger corporation is like a lot slower. You might want to working on a faster paced environment, such as like a startup or 0 to 1 product, because those are more challenging and you might be someone who enjoy being under a stressful situation because that gives you more motivation and that makes the reward and the accomplishing something feel a lot more. So like you really gotta really understand like what type of environment you really enjoy, and I think that can really boost how you handle the work and how you can come to appreciate. So one hot take I want to say, like since we are both working remote, we kind of get to see how other people do and how much time they spend at work. So I guess my hot take is, would you do my job? Like knowing what being a software engineer at a FAANG company is like, would you take my job?
I feel like most people would still say yes. Personally, as someone who is in cybersecurity, but my dream company has always been Google. And I'm sure things have changed, you know, since I've decided that was my dream company. But there's still a part of me, you know, like going through college is like the fact that Google software engineers or like Google employees are compared to as like the Harvard of tech. I feel like obviously not everyone is going to agree. Like someone from Stanford is not going to think that Google is the pinnacle of tech success and career success. But personally, going through college, I did. And I always thought that was, you know, a company that I would really like to work for. I still feel like that could be the case down the line. But I feel like most people would probably still want to accept a job at Google versus a job at, you know, a regular company. Okay, not saying that Google isn't a regular company, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, so like,
so
some people might still pick, let's say Google over, for example, like a field that they're extremely passionate about. Let's say your goal is to work in like renewable energy or like self-driving field, but you got a Google offer. You might still take that Google offer than joining like a startup that works in these fields, just because it's Google. Like, is that?
Yeah.
No hesitation. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like when you get accepted into Harvard, even if you got a full ride somewhere else, or if it's like if you had another dream school that was like full ride, all your friends are going there. Okay, maybe that's not a plus for everyone, but and then there's Harvard where maybe it's not a full ride, maybe it's like a half ride, but you would probably still highly consider going there just because of the name, the branding.
Sure.
So I definitely think that makes an impact. I don't know how much it impacts how much you like your job in the long term, because after a few years, the title isn't going to seem as fancy as in the beginning when you just got hired or just got your offer.
The excitement level won't stay the same, like for sure.
Yeah, I would agree on that point. But again, there's those perks to keep you there. That's another thing that big tech does that would want people to stay. This has become a video on like big tech versus other companies, but hopefully this is still interesting to you guys.
So yeah, let me guys know in the comment, like what would you do? Like take the passion, like, or take the Kool-Aid from the big tech?
Says someone who is working at big tech.
Just to make you guys full transparency, sure, like overall I like my job, but there are still times where I'm like, oh my god, I hate this. Like, especially when you're after finishing a project, you immediately have to jump to the next one. And in these bigger tech companies, they expect you to get promoted to the next level. And in order to get promoted to the next level, you have to demonstrate that you're already at the next level by doing a really hard project that they think is on the next level. So technically for a whole year before you get promoted to the next level, you will already be doing like really hard, more complex challenge. Given the recent economy, rest and vest, that used to be the term, but it's a lot less common now, especially at these 0 to 1 product area, which I fall under. So like you constantly feel the stress. So it's kind of like this reward cycle. You're like, oh, I love my job. Ugh, all these projects, all these lines I had to write. Debug, and then ooh, I finished, and then I love my job, and then repeat. So it's kind of like a constant cycle. So definitely like for full transparency, like I like my teammates, manager. They make the work a lot more enjoyable, but at times they still become really challenging. Like I still have to spend a lot of time thinking, debugging, but at the end of the day, like overall I mostly enjoy my job.
Yeah, I would say just because we like our jobs doesn't mean there are days where we don't find the work that we're doing to be what we don't like, or like if it's boring. In my case, it's when the work gets a little bit stale, just because I work in cybersecurity and a lot of my job happens to be around like a ticketing system, or basically a ticketing system. Tasks eventually become repetitive, where in the beginning I felt like a lot of it was just challenging for me because I didn't know the answers to a lot of questions or know a lot of things about my company and our products. But now that I do know more about it, it really just becomes like a plug and play kind of thing for a lot of the work that I do. Not to make it sound like we're complaining about having jobs in this economy, or that we don't like the work that we're doing, so that like we're just ungrateful. I think that's definitely not the case, but we just want to be as realistic as possible to be able to show you guys the full picture of what to expect during a job, and that it's okay to have, you know, some boring days or some days where you don't like the work or it feels like a big grind.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, overall job satisfaction is there, and if it's not, then you should be looking for a different role that is better suited. Yeah, sure.
Let's start our own.
Yeah, just find something that's better suited for you. You shouldn't be going to work every single day dreading the day. Like, I think that's what we're trying to get at here.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful to you guys or insightful in some way. Let us know in the comments below the answers to any of our questions as like little icebreakers in the comments below, as well as any opinions that you might have on any of the topics that we discussed today.
100%. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, that's Luca's term. And I post videos every Wednesdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!